Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It is Tuesday, May 28th. Yes, it is. It's the official up and at 'em, right? Most of you guys had yesterday off. Uh, we had it off. I took it off because, you know, Claude's veteran and my whole family were veterans. I have to laugh sometimes that I feel like we're being brought up by a lieutenant colonel that in my younger years we had cots and the foot lockers, everything had to be a certain way, and I should have got something back from that. Today we're going to talk about back orders and no longer available. That's kind of the next thing. We've dealt with back orders, right? But now this new thing is coming is no longer available. So stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome back. My name is Eric, and this is the weekday, Monday through Friday. Today is Tuesday, May 28th, roughly 25 after 4. Alright, so why do we need to talk about back orders and no longer available? What's going on here? Well, I can't be 100% sure, but I can pretty much, with a business mind, and know what happened to them. They got burnt, alright? They got burnt. They had all this inventory ordered, and even the aftermarket companies had all this stuff ordered. And they got it. But then the, what I call the snake in the grass, China. You ever hear the old saying, you don't shit where you eat? Well, China doesn't care. So, if you're going to make a product, have a large corporation pay you buttloads of money to build a factory in your country, to hire your people to manage the company. Now, you have quality control and some people upper HR from the States, but most of the part it was Chinese. You would think that most countries would be thrilled, right? No. Because what they did was they not only bypassed the distributors, right? Because the distributors are required to carry a certain amount of stocking parts. So if they were all ready to kick off the season, which normally they order theirs a year ahead, they know what they're going to need based on last year. When the Chinese hit the online markets, none of the companies were ready for it. None of them. And it didn't take long. It was just like a wildfire. Starts with a cigarette butt or a match or a lightning strike. And next thing you know, you got hundreds of thousands of acres burning. Well, that's how word travels. Especially with everybody living on their phones, right? That anybody and everybody pretty much now knows if they want to buy a part, they can get it on eBay, Amazon for a little bit of nothing. So why go through me, right? Or why should I order from my distributor? So the distributors are unloading stuff. I mean, they got burnt. They got stuck with it. But they made big money. If they're dealing, they still have that OEM market, right? But, so what they decided was production is key, all right? And one way that they can kind of change the roll a little bit is to discontinue buying a lot from the manufacturer, distributors. And that is the manufacturers, you can pump out as many as you want out of a Chinese factory, but if your distributors are unwilling to carry your parts, it ain't happening. Because a lot of distributors not only dealt with just that brand, let's say Briggs, but they may deal in some aftermarkets. They may deal in some other OEMs, Hydro Gear or what have you, So they're not, most distributors I know don't have just one brand, one OEM that they deal with. They have several. So they decided, one, they were going to stock less. And once they did that, the manufacturers looked at it and said, whoa, wait a minute. Why should we keep making parts for a lawnmower 5 years old? Because it's costing us money to have China manufacture that part and get it here and hope, like bejesus, it sells. Because capitalism is alive and well, all right? Consumers told manufacturers they wanted something cheap. Cheap throwaway. Well, the manufacturers were more than willing to oblige them. So what happens? They start cheapening it. So now we get to the point of it's cheaper just to go buy a brand new one than it is to order the parts, pay me, put it together with my labor, and back to you. So they said, well, if now that we've cheapened everything, we don't need to carry the parts because nobody's going to want to fix it. They're just going to throw it away and go get another new one. See? Now you've kind of pushed out your distributors, unless they're handling whole goods, like lawnmowers and tillers and all that. You kind of pushed out your dealers, again, unless he's talking whole goods, but not parts. And honestly, it helps the dealers if you're floor planning because you're constantly selling, right? But then again, what products are you carrying? And what kind of warranty do they have? And are you there just to make as much as you can and get out? Manufacturer is. So that brings us to nowadays. We had back orders through COVID and shortly after COVID until things got back online. I'm not seeing as many back orders, but what I am seeing is like Gardner Canal, my home lights, and I was going to go back and do an order of new old stock or be new stock that sold well for me on the older trimmers and chainsaws that were still going. So I went down through the part list and it kept coming up. No longer available. No longer available. No longer available. Like what? They want you to get rid of your old stuff. They want you to keep buying every 2 to 3 years. Honestly, that's what they're looking for. The manufacturer is. They found that they aren't making any money on those parts. And the Chinese have found they don't make any money on those older parts either, so they're not making them. So you got left with some of the aftermarket companies that are still making, kits, carburetor kits and this and that. But I see they're going to start getting away from it. You watch. So that brings us to today, right? Today is, I have a lot of customers that have got the older good machines, John Deere's and Cadets and all that, and heaven forbid if they have a breakdown. I mean, I've had customers call the shop from 4 states over. I've had dealers from 4 states over calling me to see if I can locate even an aftermarket part that would work on their customer's older machine. See, them old machines, they were made to last. I mean, you pay good money, don't get me wrong, but you got quality. And that was American exceptionalism of make a great product, something that you're proud to say I had taken part in either building, manufacturing, what have you, right? We don't have that anymore. And the younger generation is not interested in maintaining a lawnmower for the next 20 years. You know, you take a look at the John Deeres now, no oil change. They have the filter snaps on. Everything that's being produced now, the trend right now that I'm seeing the consumer is they're going out and they're buying, let's say, this riding lawnmower, and they run it to the ground in 3 to 4 years. They don't do any upkeep, no maintenance, no nothing on it, right? They run her into the ground, and then they go buy a new one because they're basing the logic on their throwaways. And when they come to budgeting their money, if they're getting, let's say, 3 years out of $1,000 machine, it's costing them $300 a year to mow their yard. That's what it comes down to. But we can get back to the manufacturer. The manufacturer doesn't want these guys fixing their older machines. The money's not there in parts anymore. You do have a lot of, how do I put it? Because we do it on occasion too, depending on the engine. If it's a liquid cooled Kawasaki, absolutely. But you have a lot of folks out there still on eBay that are selling pre-owned, where like we had the 20 horse Kawasaki liquid cool come in, and he had he blew the right out the block, so it wasn't worth getting a short block for it, to him anyways. I mean, it wasn't a way, because he went out and he replaced it with a brand new John Deere with a mower deck and snowblower, and it set him back 11 grand. Yeah. So when he called us, he said, I know you can't work miracles, but is there anything you can do with this? I love my old tractor. And the only option we had is to Frankenstein it, to stay within budget. And that was, we put a 22 horse Vanguard V-twin Briggs on it. Now, you can't use the Kawasaki wire harness. You have to understand what everything is doing in it, your stator and your regulator, and knowing that the charging system has to go back to the batteries. So you have to kind of make your own whip, all right? And a lot of stuff on the dash you're not going to be able to use, as we explained to him. You know, it's your idiot lights and all that stuff are no longer going to be there, because the 22 horse Vanguard does not have a low oil shutdown on it. So that switch is not there, and that red light, blah, blah, blah. So we just take the bulbs out. But he didn't want the engine. And I told Klaus, I want the engine. And he said, what are you going to do with it? So I'm going to strip it. I said, because there's so many people still running this machine that are not willing to give up. And I'll tell you, I sold almost a whole engine in parts on eBay and not had one thing come back. Everybody's been thrilled with what they got. So that tells me that they can't get it anywhere else. So they're having to go to pre-owned and hopefully not heavily used to put theirs back together again. And I have dealers buy off me on eBay that are running a repair shop that are buying the pre-owned, because like a lot of the camshaft they're coming through is cheapy, or they're going for plastic pieces instead of being nice steel. But I think that's the only way you're going to keep your old machine going is by getting pre-owned or new old stock, because the bigger brands are no longer producing it. They want you to get rid of your mowers, your tillers, all the good stuff that your grandpa had, or something that you're my age and bought it when you were younger, because they want you to buy their new and improved piece of POS. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. We don't see as many back orders, but a back order and no longer available doesn't just affect the distributor. It affects the dealer. It affects you as a homeowner, if that's what you are, a do-it-yourselfer, because you no longer can get those parts to even fix your machine. Where you don't have that labor. All you have is just the cost of the parts and your time. But even you can't get it because nobody is making it. So now you have a lot of frustration of no longer available, unless you go with pre-owned. So give me your thoughts on that. What are you guys seeing in the markets? I mean, that's what I'm seeing right across the board. Not even lawn and garden, everything right across the board. Quality is not there. I think China, honestly, is melting their old bicycles for parts being made for engines and everything else. And they're not holding up. They're not being held to that high standard. We talk about saving the earth and piling up garbage. What about this? What do you call that? All right, guys. You guys have a great Tuesday, and we'll catch you here bright and early tomorrow morning. Thanks so much for watching.